Maya Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she watched 20 excited kids run around the playground. It was another scorching afternoon at Riverside Community Center, and she was on her second shift of the day. Her feet ached, her back hurt, but she kept smiling. She had to. This job barely paid enough to cover rent and groceries for her and her 4-year-old son, Ben, but it was all she had right now. Working at the after-school program wasn't glamorous. Most days she was breaking up fights, wiping tears, and making sure nobody ate glue. But Maya loved the kids. She saw herself in them, especially the ones whose parents were too busy to pick them up on time, the ones who came to school with messy hair and mismatched socks. She knew what it felt like to struggle, to go without, to wonder if tomorrow would be any easier than today. That Tuesday started like any other day. The children were playing tag, screaming with joy, their laughter filling the warm air. Maya was helping a little boy tie his shoe when she heard a thud behind her. She turned quickly and saw a small girl lying motionless near the swing set. Her heart stopped. Maya ran faster than she'd ever run in her life. The other children backed away, their faces scared and confused. The little girl was maybe 5 or 6 years old, wearing an expensive pink dress that looked completely out of place at their modest community center. Maya dropped to her knees beside the child, her hands shaking as she checked for breathing. The girl was breathing, thank God, but she wasn't responding. "Lily! Lily, can you hear me?" Maya called out, reading the name tag pinned to the girl's backpack. She gently turned the child's head, making sure her airway was clear. That's when she noticed the medical alert bracelet on the tiny wrist. Maya squinted to read the engraving: severe peanut and bee sting allergies, and an emergency contact number, with a name, Father Daniel Carter, CEO, Carter Enterprises. Maya's co-worker, Rita, rushed over. "Oh my God, is she okay? Should I call 911? "Yes, call them now," Maya said, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. "And bring me her backpack. Check if there's an EpiPen inside." While Rita ran to get help, Maya pulled out her phone with trembling fingers and dialed the number on the bracelet. Her mind was racing. What if the girl had been stung by a bee? What if she'd eaten something with peanuts? The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Pick up. Please pick up," Maya prayed silently. Finally, a man's voice answered. It was cold, clipped, professional. "This is Daniel Carter." "Mr. Carter?" Maya's voice came out rushed and breathless. "I'm calling from Riverside Community Center. I'm so sorry to bother you, but your daughter Lily, she's collapsed on the playground. She's breathing, but she's not waking up. I found her medical bracelet and I—" "Wait, what? Who is this?" The man's tone shifted from annoyed to alarmed. "Why isn't Mrs. Patterson calling me? She's Lily's nanny." "I don't know who that is, sir. I'm Maya. I work here at the center. Your daughter is here with us, and she needs you right now. Please, can you come immediately?" There was a pause on the other end. Maya could hear papers rustling, a chair scraping. "Riverside Community Center? Why would Lily be there? That doesn't make any— Never mind. I'm coming right now. Don't move her. Is she breathing normally?" "Yes. Her breathing seems okay, but she's completely unconscious. We've called an ambulance, too." "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Less. Just stay with her. Please." The phone clicked off. Maya shoved her phone back in her pocket and focused entirely on the little girl in front of her. Rita came running back with the backpack and handed it to Maya. She dug through it frantically. Juice box, crackers, crayons, a stuffed rabbit, but no EpiPen. That was actually good news. It meant this probably wasn't an allergic reaction. "The ambulance is on the way," Rita said, kneeling beside Maya. "What can I do?" "Get all the other kids inside. Keep them calm. Tell them Lily is going to be okay." Maya kept her hand on Lily's small shoulder, monitoring her breathing. The girl's skin felt hot. Too hot. Maya wet a paper towel from her water bottle and gently placed it on Lily's forehead. The other staff members had already started ushering children away from the scene, but Maya could feel their eyes on her, watching, whispering. she heard one of them say, "Thank God Maya was here. She always knows what to do." But Maya didn't feel like she knew what to do. She felt terrified. This beautiful little girl in her designer dress and shiny shoes didn't belong here at their run-down community center. Why was she even here? Where was her nanny? And who was this Daniel Carter who sounded like he ruled the world? Minutes felt like hours. Maya talked softly to Lily, even though the girl couldn't hear her. "You're going to be okay, sweetie. Your daddy is coming. He'll be here so soon. You're so brave." She brushed the girl's dark hair away from her face, noticing how soft it was, how well cared for this child clearly was. It made Maya think of her own son, Ben. She'd picked him up that morning from her neighbor's apartment, his hair sticking up in every direction because Maya had overslept again. His shirt had a small stain on it that she'd tried to scrub out in the sink. They'd eaten cereal for breakfast, no milk, because she couldn't afford groceries until Friday. Looking at this little girl, Maya felt that familiar ache in her chest. The ache of wanting better for her child. The ache of not being enough. A black luxury car screeched into the parking lot, tires squealing. Maya looked up to see a man in an expensive suit practically throwing himself out of the driver's seat. He ran toward them with an expression of pure fear on his face. He was tall, with dark hair and sharp features, and he moved like someone who was used to being in control. Except right now, control was the last thing he had. "Lily!" he shouted, his voice cracking. Maya stood up quickly to give him space, but as the man dropped to his knees beside his daughter, their eyes met for just a second. And in that second, the entire world stopped spinning. Maya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. Because she knew that face. She knew those eyes. She knew that voice, even though she'd spent 6 years trying to forget it. No. No, this couldn't be happening. "Danny?" The name escaped her lips in a whisper. The man froze. His head snapped up, and he stared at her like he'd seen a ghost. His face went completely white. "Maya," he breathed, his eyes wide with shock. But before either of them could say another word, little Lily stirred. She let out a small whimper, and her eyes fluttered open. "Daddy?" she said weakly. Daniel, or Danny, as Maya had known him, tore his gaze away from Maya and focused entirely on his daughter. "I'm here, baby. Daddy's here. Are you okay? What hurts?" The ambulance sirens were growing louder in the distance. Maya stepped back, her legs shaking so badly she thought she might collapse herself. Rita grabbed her arm. "Are you okay? You look like you're about to faint." Maya couldn't answer. She just stood there, watching the man she'd once loved, the man who'd disappeared from her life without a trace, cradle his daughter in his arms. The man who didn't know that 4-year-old Ben, waiting for Maya at the neighbor's apartment, had his eyes, his smile, his stubborn chin. The man who had no idea he was a father twice over. The paramedics rushed onto the playground with their equipment, and Maya forced herself to step even further back. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Daniel was talking to the medical team, explaining what happened while holding Lily's hand. His voice was different now, deeper, more confident, more polished. This wasn't the young guy she'd known 6 years ago who'd laughed at her jokes and told her stories about his dreams over cheap diner coffee. This was someone else entirely. Someone important. Someone who drove cars that cost more than she'd make in 5 years. Rita squeezed Maya's arm. "You did great. That little girl is lucky you were here." But Maya barely heard her. She was watching Daniel, memorizing every detail of his face, comparing it to the pictures she had at home of Ben. The resemblance was undeniable. How had she never put it together? How had she never known his last name was Carter? Because he'd never told her. That's how. The paramedics checked Lily over thoroughly. After a few minutes, one of them looked up at Daniel. "Her vitals are stable. No signs of allergic reaction. My guess is heat exhaustion and dehydration. Has she been drinking enough water today?" Daniel ran his hand through his hair, looking frustrated and worried. I don't know. Her nanny was supposed to be watching her today. I have no idea why she's even at this center. He pulled out his phone and started dialing, his jaw clenched tight. Lily was sitting up now, sipping water from a bottle the paramedics gave her. She looked tired but okay. I'm sorry, Daddy, she said in a small voice. Mrs. Patterson said she had to leave because of an emergency. She dropped me off here and said someone would watch me. Daniel's face went dark with anger. She what? She just left you here without telling me? He turned away, phone pressed to his ear, and Maya could hear him speaking sharply to someone on the other end. I don't care what her emergency was. She abandoned my daughter at a facility I never approved. Her employment is terminated immediately. Have security clear out her belongings. Maya felt uncomfortable witnessing this. This was his life now, firing people over the phone, making decisions that affected someone's job in seconds. The Danny she'd known had been working 2 part-time jobs while trying to finish business school. He'd been stressed about paying his phone bill. He'd borrowed money from her once to fix his beat-up car. What had happened to him? The paramedics were finishing up. We'd recommend taking her to the hospital just to be safe, but she seems fine. Make sure she drinks plenty of fluids and stays in the air conditioning for the rest of the day. Daniel nodded, thanking them. He scooped Lily up in his arms, even though she could probably walk. She wrapped her arms around his neck and buried her face in his shoulder. For a moment, Maya saw something soft in his expression, something that reminded her of the person she used to know. He loved his daughter. That much was obvious. The ambulance pulled away, and most of the staff had gone back inside with the children. It was just Maya, Daniel, Lily, and Rita standing in the playground now. An awkward silence settled over them like a heavy blanket. Rita looked between Maya and Daniel, sensing something was off. I should go check on the kids inside. Maya, you take your time. We've got everything covered. She gave Maya's shoulder a quick pat and hurried away. Now it was just the 3 of them. Daniel turned to face Maya fully for the first time since arriving. Lily had her head resting on his shoulder, looking drowsy. He stared at Maya for a long moment, and she could see 100 different emotions crossing his face. Shock, confusion, maybe even something like joy mixed with pain. Maya, he said quietly, I can't believe it's you. After all these years, don't. Maya cut him off, her voice sharper than she intended. She crossed her arms over her chest, trying to hold herself together. Not here, not now. Your daughter needs you. He looked down at Lily, then back at Maya. You're right. But we need to talk, please. I looked for you. After I came back from China, I tried to find you for months. You'd moved. Your phone was disconnected. It was like you'd vanished into thin air. Maya felt tears prickling behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. Not here, not in front of him. You left without saying goodbye. You promised you'd call and you never did. What was I supposed to think? I know, and I'm sorry. Everything happened so fast. My uncle's company was collapsing and he had a heart attack. I had to fly out that same night. I tried to call you from the airport, but your phone was off. And then everything was chaos for weeks and... He stopped himself, shaking his head. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I didn't just abandon you on purpose. Lily lifted her head and looked at Maya with curious eyes. Daddy, do you know this lady? Daniel hesitated. Maya could see him struggling with what to say. Yes, sweetheart. We were friends a long time ago. She saved me, Lily said, her voice soft but sincere. She was really nice. She stayed with me the whole time. Maya felt her heart squeeze. I'm just glad you're okay, honey. Daniel shifted Lily in his arms and pulled out his wallet. He took out a business card and held it out to Maya. Please, I'm serious about talking. Here's my number, my office address, everything. I know you probably hate me, and you have every right to, but please just give me one chance to explain everything. Maya stared at the card like it was a snake about to bite her. Everything in her wanted to refuse it, to walk away, to protect herself and Ben from getting hurt. But another part of her, the part that had spent 6 years wondering what if, reached out and took the card. I'm not promising anything, she said. That's all I'm asking for. Daniel paused, studying her face. You look good. I mean, you look well. Are you happy? Are you doing okay? What a question.
Was she happy?
She was a single mother working 2 jobs, living paycheck to paycheck, worried about making rent every month. But she had Ben, and Ben was everything. "I'm managing," she said simply. He nodded slowly, like he understood there was more to that answer. "Listen, I need to take Lily home and make sure she's really okay. But can I call you? Or you can call me anytime. Please, Maya." "I'll think about it." Daniel looked like he wanted to say more, but Lily let out a small whimper. "Daddy, I don't feel good." "Okay, baby. Let's get you home." He started walking toward his car, then stopped and turned back. "Thank you for taking care of her, for being there when I couldn't. You always had the biggest heart of anyone I ever met." Maya didn't respond. She just stood there, clutching his business card, watching him buckle Lily into an expensive car seat in the back of his luxury vehicle. He waved at her once more before driving away, and then he was gone. She stood in the empty playground for several minutes, not moving, barely breathing. Then she pulled out her phone and looked at her wallpaper, a photo of Ben grinning at the camera with his 2 front teeth missing, his dark eyes sparkling with mischief. "Daniel's eyes, what am I going to do?" she whispered to no one. Rita poked her head out the door. "Maya, are you coming back in? We still have another hour before pickup time." Maya shoved the business card deep into her pocket. Yeah, I'm coming." She went through the rest of her shift on autopilot, playing with the kids, reading stories, cleaning up juice spills. But her mind was 1,000 miles away. That evening, after she'd picked Ben up from the neighbor's apartment, after she'd made him dinner, spaghetti with butter because that's all they had, after she'd given him a bath and read him 3 bedtime stories, she sat alone in their tiny living room. The business card sat on the coffee table in front of her. She picked it up and read it for the 100th time. Daniel Carter, Chief Executive Officer, Carter Enterprises. There was a phone number, an email address, a fancy office address in the business district downtown. This wasn't the Danny she knew. That Danny was gone. But this man, this Daniel Carter, was Ben's father. He deserved to know. Ben deserved to know. But what if he didn't believe her? What if he thought she was just after his money? What if he tried to take Ben away from her? Maya put her face in her hands. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "It's Daniel. I got your number from the community center records. I hope that's okay. I just wanted to say thank you again for today, and to ask if we could meet for coffee sometime this week. I really want to talk to you." Maya stared at the message. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally settling on one. "Thursday, 3 p.m., Murphy's Cafe on 5th Street. I'll be there." She hit send before she could change her mind. Within seconds, he replied, "I'll be there." "Thank you, Maya." She set the phone down and walked to Ben's room. He was sleeping peacefully, his little chest rising and falling, his hand curled around his favorite stuffed dinosaur. She bent down and kissed his forehead. "Everything's about to change, baby boy," she whispered. "I just hope I'm doing the right thing." Thursday came faster than Maya wanted. She'd barely slept the past 2 nights, playing out different scenarios in her head. How would she tell him? What words could she possibly use to say, "Hey, remember me? Well, you have a son you never knew about?" She changed her outfit 3 times that morning. Nothing felt right. The nice blouse made her look like she was trying too hard. The casual t-shirt made her look like she didn't care. She finally settled on a simple blue sweater and jeans. This wasn't a date. This was just 2 old friends catching up. 2 old friends who happened to have a child together that one of them didn't know about. Her stomach was in knots. Maya dropped Ben off at her neighbor Mrs. Chen's apartment. The elderly woman loved watching Ben and only charged her $10, which was all Maya could afford. Ben hugged her legs before running inside to play with Mrs. Chen's cat. "Mommy will be back in 2 hours, okay, baby?" "Okay, Mommy. Can we have mac and cheese for dinner?" "Sure, sweetie." Be good for Mrs. Chen. The bus ride to Murphy's Cafe felt eternal. Maya clutched her purse tightly, inside which she'd stuffed an envelope containing 3 photos of Ben. She'd debated bringing them. Maybe showing him would be easier than just telling him. Or maybe it would be worse. Maybe he'd think she was lying, that Ben wasn't his, that she was just some desperate woman trying to trap a rich man. Her hands were shaking when she walked through the cafe door. She was 15 minutes early. The place was quiet, with just a few people scattered around on laptops. Soft jazz music played in the background. Maya ordered a regular coffee, the cheapest thing on the menu, and sat at a corner table where she could watch the door. At exactly 3 p.m., Daniel walked in. He was wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater, no suit this time. He looked more like the Danny she remembered, except for the expensive watch on his wrist and the confidence in the way he carried himself. His eyes scanned the cafe until they found her, and his face softened into something between relief and nervousness. He walked over and stood by the table awkwardly. "Hi." "Hi," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can I sit?" She nodded. He sat down across from her, and for a moment neither of them spoke. The air between them felt thick with 6 years of unsaid words. Daniel cleared his throat. "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," Maya admitted. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, needing something to hold on to. He ordered a black coffee from the waitress, then turned his full attention to Maya. "I meant what I said the other day. I really did look for you. When I got back from China, everything in my life had changed. My uncle died. His company was falling apart. Suddenly, I was in charge of everything, trying to save hundreds of jobs, dealing with lawyers and banks, and—" He stopped himself. "I'm making excuses. The truth is, I should have tried harder to find you. I should have gone to your apartment building every day until someone knew where you'd moved to. I should have done more." Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes. She'd imagined this conversation so many times, usually ending with her yelling at him, telling him exactly how much he'd hurt her. But now, sitting across from him, seeing the genuine regret in his eyes, the anger felt harder to hold on to. "Do you know what it was like?" she said quietly. "Waiting for you to call. Checking my phone every 5 minutes. Making excuses for you. Telling myself you were just busy, that you'd call soon. And then days turned into weeks, and I realized you weren't coming back." "Maya, I'm so sorry. I'm not finished." Her voice was firmer now. "Do you know what it was like finding out I was pregnant 2 months after you disappeared? Being scared and alone with no one to turn to? My parents had already disowned me for dropping out of college. I had nobody, Daniel. Nobody." His face went pale. "Wait, what did you just say?" Maya's heart was racing. This was it. This was the moment everything would change. She reached into her purse and pulled out the envelope. Her hands were trembling so badly she almost dropped it. She slid it across the table to him. "You have a son. His name is Ben. He's 4 years old, and he's the best thing that ever happened to me." Daniel stared at the envelope like it might explode. What? A son?" "Open it." With shaking hands, Daniel opened the envelope and pulled out the photos. The first one was of Ben as a newborn, tiny and red-faced, wrapped in a hospital blanket. The second was from his 3rd birthday, chocolate cakes smeared all over his grinning face. The third was recent, taken just last week at the park, Ben hanging upside down from the monkey bars, laughing at something off camera. Daniel's hands were shaking. He stared at the photos for a long time, not saying anything. Maya watched his face carefully, trying to read his expression. Was he angry? Shocked? Happy? She couldn't tell. Finally, he looked up at her, and there were tears in his eyes. "He looks just like me." "I know. Why didn't you tell me?" "Why didn't you—" He stopped, and understanding crossed his face. "You couldn't find me either. You didn't know my last name. You had no way to contact me." Maya nodded. "I tried. I went back to every place we used to go. The diner, the park, that bookstore on Main Street. I asked everyone if they knew you, but you'd told me your name was Danny, that you were just some guy working his way through business school. How was I supposed to know you were Daniel Carter, heir to some business empire? I wasn't trying to hide anything from you. I just—" He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture she remembered from years ago. "I was tired of people treating me differently because of my family name. With you, I could just be myself. Just Danny. Not the Carter heir with all that pressure and expectation." "Well, congratulations," Maya said, unable to keep the bitterness from her voice. "You gotta be whoever you wanted." Meanwhile, I was a 19-year-old girl giving birth alone in a county hospital, terrified out of my mind. Daniel put his head in his hands. "I can't believe this. I have a son. I've had a son for 4 years and I didn't know. I missed everything. His first word, his first steps, His voice broke. Maya felt her anger softening despite herself. She could see the pain on his face was real. His first word was mama. He took his first steps at 11 months. He loves dinosaurs and macaroni and cheese. He's afraid of the dark, but he pretends not to be because he thinks he's a big boy now. He's smart and funny and kind, and yes, you missed all of that. But it wasn't my fault, Daniel. I tried to find you. I know it wasn't your fault. He looked at the photos again, picking up the most recent one and studying it closely. Can I meet him, please? I'll do whatever you want, follow whatever rules you set. I need to meet my son. This was what Maya had been afraid of. Part of her wanted to say no, to protect Ben from potential disappointment if Daniel turned out to be like all those absent fathers she'd seen come and go in other kids' lives. But looking at his face, seeing the genuine emotion there, she couldn't find it in herself to refuse. He doesn't know about you, she said carefully. He thinks his daddy left before he was born because he didn't want us. I've never told him your name or anything about you because I didn't have any information to give him. You need to understand that if you meet him, you can't just disappear again. Kids don't understand complicated adult situations. If you're going to be in his life, you have to really be in his life. Not just when it's convenient for you. I want to be in his life. I swear to you, Maya, I want to be his father. It's not that simple. You can't just waltz in and expect him to call you dad. You have to earn that. You have to be patient. I will be. Whatever it takes. I promise you. Maya took a deep breath. Okay, but we're going to do this slowly. You can meet him, but just as my friend first. We'll tell him the truth when the time is right, when he's ready to understand. Daniel nodded quickly. Yes, whatever you think is best. You're his mother. You know him. I'll follow your lead. They talked for another hour, making plans, setting boundaries. Daniel wanted to know everything about Ben, his favorite color, his favorite toys, what made him laugh, what made him cry. Maya found herself relaxing slightly as she talked about their son. This was safe territory. Talking about Ben always made her feel better, but then Daniel dropped a bomb she hadn't expected. I want to help financially. Let me set up a bank account for you for Ben. He's my son. I should have been supporting you both all along. Maya stiffened. I don't want your money. It's not charity, Maya. It's responsibility. I have the means to make your life easier, to give Ben opportunities. Why would you refuse that? Because I've managed just fine on my own. We don't need your guilt money. It's not guilt money. Daniel's voice rose slightly, then he caught himself and lowered it. I'm not trying to buy my way into his life. But he's my son. If I'd known about him, I would have been helping from day one. Let me do that now, please. Maya wanted to refuse. Her pride screamed at her to say no, to prove she didn't need anything from him. But then she thought about Ben's worn-out shoes that were getting too small. The way he'd asked for a new backpack last week and she'd had to tell him to wait until next month. The fact that they were eating spaghetti with butter 3 nights a week because that's all she could afford. I don't want a handout, she said finally. But if you want to help, you can. For Ben, not for me. Daniel's shoulders relaxed slightly. Thank you. Can I ask you something else? What? How are you doing? Really, are you okay? Maya looked down at her coffee. Do you really want to know, or are you just being polite? I really want to know, so she told him. About working 2 jobs, about the tiny apartment they lived in, about worrying every month if they'd make rent. She told him about the nights she went to bed hungry so Ben could have seconds, about the dreams she'd given up, the education she'd never finished. She didn't mean to say so much, but once she started, she couldn't stop. 6 years of struggle came pouring out. Daniel listened to everything, his expression growing more pained with every word. When she finally stopped talking, he said something that surprised her. I have a job opening. Maya blinked. What? At my company. Director of Community Relations. It's a real job with real responsibilities, not charity. I need someone who understands what real people need, someone who's lived in the real world. That's you, Maya. Maya stared at Daniel across the cafe table, not sure if she'd heard him correctly. You're offering me a job? Yes, a real one. The pay is $75,000 a year, plus benefits. Full health insurance, dental, vision, everything. You'd be working with community organizations, helping us figure out where our company can make a real difference. You're perfect for it. Maya's mouth went dry. $75,000? She currently made barely $22,000 working 2 jobs. That kind of money would change everything. But something felt wrong about it. Daniel, I can't accept a job just because I'm the mother of your child. That's not right. That's not why I'm offering it, he insisted. Look, I've been trying to fill this position for 6 months. Every person we've interviewed talks a good game, but has no idea what it's actually like to struggle. You do. You've lived it. You know what families need. That's exactly what this job requires. Maya bit her lip, uncertainty flooding through her. Can I think about it? Of course. Take all the time you need. No pressure. They agreed to meet that weekend at the park so Daniel could meet Ben. Maya's stomach was in knots for the next 2 days. How was she supposed to explain this to her son? She finally decided to keep it simple. She told Ben that an old friend was coming to visit, someone she hadn't seen in a long time. Ben seemed excited. He loved meeting new people. Saturday morning arrived with clear blue skies. Maya dressed Ben in his best clothes, which weren't saying much. His jeans had a patch on the knee and his shirt was slightly faded from too many washes. She tried not to think about how Lily had been wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. They got to the park early. Ben immediately ran toward the swings. Push me, Mommy. Push me really high. Maya was pushing Ben, watching him giggle with delight when she saw Daniel approaching. He wasn't alone. Lily was with him, holding his hand and skipping beside him. Maya's heart did a little flip. She hadn't expected him to bring his daughter. Ben noticed them first. Mommy, who's that? That's my friend I told you about. His name is Mr. Daniel. And that's his daughter. Daniel and Lily reached them. Daniel looked nervous, his eyes fixed on Ben like he was seeing something precious and fragile. Lily, on the other hand, was staring at Ben with open curiosity. Hi, Lily said shyly. I'm Lily, I'm 5 years old. How old are you? Ben puffed out his chest proudly. I'm 4, but I'm gonna be 5 soon. Do you like dinosaurs? They're okay. I like unicorns better. Unicorns aren't real, but dinosaurs were real millions of years ago. Ben launched into a detailed explanation of his favorite dinosaurs while Lily listened with growing interest. Maya stood next to Daniel, both of them watching their children interact. She's beautiful, Maya said quietly. So is he, Daniel replied, his voice thick with emotion. He has your smile, and your eyes, your nose, your stubborn chin. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Lily tugged on Daniel's sleeve. Daddy, can we play on the slides with Ben? Please? Sure, sweetheart. Go ahead. The 2 children ran off together toward the playground equipment. Maya and Daniel followed at a distance, sitting on a nearby bench where they could keep an eye on them. He's amazing, Daniel said, unable to take his eyes off Ben. Look at him, the way he talks with his hands just like I do. The way he runs. God, Maya, he's perfect. He is, Maya agreed. He's my whole world. They spent the next hour at the park. Daniel was careful not to overwhelm Ben, just playing alongside him, asking questions, showing genuine interest in everything Ben said. Maya watched carefully, ready to step in if needed, but Ben seemed to take to Daniel naturally. He showed Daniel his favorite climbing structure, taught him the right way to go down the slide, and told him all about his stuffed dinosaur collection at home. Lily and Ben became instant friends. They made up games, shared snacks, and laughed together like they'd known each other forever. At one point, Ben fell and scraped his knee. Before Maya could reach him, Lily was already there. Don't cry, Lily said seriously. My daddy says big kids are brave. I'll get him to fix it. She ran to Daniel, who came over with a Band-Aid from his pocket. He cleaned Ben's knee gently and applied the Band-Aid, all while talking to Ben about how everyone falls sometimes, and that's okay. Ben looked up at him with something like admiration. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. You're very welcome, buddy. Maya felt something crack open in her chest. This was what Ben had been missing. This gentle male presence, someone to teach him how to be brave, how to fall and get back up. She'd tried her best to be both mother and father, but watching Daniel with Ben, she realized some things she just couldn't give him alone. After the park, Daniel surprised them by inviting them for ice cream. They went to a small shop nearby, and Ben's eyes went wide at all the flavors. He'd only ever had the cheap stuff Maya bought from the grocery store. "Can I get any flavor I want?" Ben whispered to Maya. "Sure, baby. Pick whatever you like." Ben chose chocolate chip cookie dough. Lily got strawberry. The four of them sat at a small table, and Maya realized this probably looked like a normal family to anyone passing by. A mother, a father, and two kids enjoying ice cream together. The thought made her chest tight. "Lily," Ben said suddenly, his mouth full of ice cream. "Do you have a mommy?" The table went silent. Lily's face fell a little. "My mommy lives far away. I don't see her very much. Oh, I don't have a daddy. Well, I have one, but he went away before I was born. Mommy says he didn't know about me, though. She says he would have stayed if he knew." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She'd told Ben that story to protect Daniel, to make sure Ben didn't grow up thinking his father had abandoned him on purpose. Now, sitting here with Daniel right in front of him, the words felt heavy with meaning. Daniel's hand found Maya's under the table. He squeezed it gently, and she squeezed back. The weeks that followed changed everything. Maya accepted the job at Daniel's company, and it was everything he'd promised. She had her own office, a capable team, and for the first time in her life, a salary that meant she didn't have to choose between paying rent and buying groceries. She moved them into a better apartment. Nothing fancy, but it had 2 bedrooms and heat that actually worked. Daniel became a regular part of their lives. He started coming over twice a week, bringing dinner, playing with Ben, reading him bedtime stories. He was patient and consistent, never pushing, never demanding to be called Dad. He was just there, showing up, proving through his actions that he wasn't going anywhere. Ben grew more attached with each visit. He started talking about Mr. Daniel constantly. "Mr. Daniel says I'm good at math. Mr. Daniel promised to take me to the Science Museum. Mr. Daniel gave me a new dinosaur book." Lily and Ben became inseparable. They had playdates every weekend. Maya and Daniel would watch them play, talking about their days, their hopes, their regrets. Slowly, carefully, Maya felt her walls coming down. This wasn't the Danny she'd known 6 years ago, but it wasn't just some cold CEO either. This was someone new, someone who'd learned from his mistakes, someone who was trying hard to be the father Ben deserved. 3 months in, Maya decided it was time. She sat Ben down one evening after dinner. "Baby, I need to tell you something important." Ben looked up from his coloring book. "What, Mommy? You know how you said you don't have a daddy? Well, that's not exactly true. You do have a daddy, and he's been wanting to meet you for a very long time." Ben's eyes went wide. "Really? Where is he?" Maya took a deep breath. "You already know him, sweetheart. It's Mr. Daniel. He's your daddy." Ben stared at her, his little brain working to process this information. "Mr. Daniel is my daddy?" "Yes, baby. He didn't know about you before because we got separated a long time ago. But now he knows, and he loves you so much. He's been coming to see you because he wants to be your daddy. Is that okay?" Ben was quiet for a moment. Then his face broke into the biggest smile Maya had ever seen. "Really? Mr. Daniel is my daddy? For real? For real. Does that mean Lily is my sister?" Maya laughed through her tears. "Yes, honey. She's your half-sister. This is the best day ever." Ben jumped up and ran around the room. "I have a daddy and a sister. Wait until I tell Tommy at school. Can I call him Daddy now instead of Mr. Daniel?" "You'll have to ask him, but I think he'd love that." When Daniel came over that evening, Ben ran straight to him and threw his arms around his legs. "Mommy told me, you're my daddy." Daniel dropped to his knees and hugged Ben tightly, tears streaming down his face. "I am. I'm your daddy, and I love you so much, Ben. I'm sorry I wasn't there before, but I'm here now, and I'm never leaving. I promise. I love you too, Daddy." Maya watched them, crying happy tears for the first time in years. Daniel looked up at her over Ben's shoulder. Mouthing, "Thank you," she nodded, unable to speak. 6 months later, Daniel took Maya and both kids to the same park where he'd first met Ben. The kids were playing together as usual, completely absorbed in their game. Daniel took Maya's hand and led her to a quiet spot under a large oak tree. "Maya Rodriguez, I lost you once because I was too caught up in my own problems to fight for what mattered. I won't make that mistake again. You gave me the greatest gift. You gave me Ben. You raised him alone. You struggled. You sacrificed everything, and you made him into the amazing boy he is today. I know I can't make up for the years I missed, but I want to spend the rest of my life trying. I love you. I've loved you since we met 6 years ago, and I'll love you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me? He pulled out a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Maya couldn't stop crying. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. Ben and Lily came running over just as Daniel slipped the ring on Maya's finger. What's happening? Ben asked. Daddy just asked me to marry him, Maya said. Lily squealed and jumped up and down. Does that mean we're all going to live together? Like a real family? Yes, sweetheart, Daniel said, pulling both kids into a hug with Maya. Like a real family. Ben looked up at Maya with those eyes so like his father's. Mommy, are you happy? Maya looked at her son, at Lily, at Daniel, at this family that had somehow found its way back together against all odds. Yeah, baby. I'm happy. We're all happy. And for the first time in 6 long years, Maya truly was.